Well, hello.
Harry, this is Dave.
Yeah, how you doing?
Can you see me? I
Good.
don't think the video's on.
No, I can't see you. I can hear you.
What do we do to get video here? Maybe it'll come now, huh? I don't know.
Well, he can hear you at least.
How you doing? There you are.
There. Well, I'm on oxygen and I use a walker.
Oh
So
boy.
I'm pretty weak.
Yeah.
My lung congestion and prednisone caused AFib, so my heart's not beating strong.
Oh my goodness.
I stay in contact with my doctors.
Yeah, Dave Long's on oxygen and everything too.
Dave is at home.
Yeah. After his
he's got a long term.
Yeah, after his escapade with COVID. So
but I got granddaughters coming from Dallas to visit me in a couple of weeks, so that's good news. Looking forward to that.
Good.
Yeah. So I just struggling to head home to get by.
Yeah. Glad to see you finally.
Yes, I missed it. It's been August since I was there.
Yeah.
We were gone for 6 weeks, and then when I got back, I just too weak to come in.
Sure.
So
sure. I don't know how many people will get on here. We're trying. There's Jerry.
Okay.
Hi, Jerry. Jerry's muted.
Okay.
And I don't know who the other iPad 3 is, but at least we got a couple of people on here. I know Caleb said, yeah, let's do it on Zoom. Oh, there's Andy. Hi, Andy. So yeah, Caleb says, let's do it on Zoom. So I'm hoping he gets on here. He'll probably be closer to 12 or something.
Yeah, during his lunch hour.
Yeah. Jerry, you got the moon behind you.
Yeah. Can you hear me at this point?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I got a message that said the host isn't allowing you to unmute yourself.
Oh. Huh. Well, I can hear you.
I don't know how I overcame it.
Yeah. Yeah. Andy, how are you doing?
Just fine.
It's a little
Congratulations on your re-election.
What's that?
Is that a congratulations on being re-elected president?
Well, I don't think anybody else
kind of forced you into.
I don't think anybody else was nominated. Nobody else was nominated, I don't think.
Yeah.
Amazing how that works, isn't it?
Well, see, the fear is that if the mayor doesn't show up at the meeting, you've got to run the meeting.
Ah.
Now, he's never been absent, and I've never had to do that, which is fine.
Good.
But I think everybody else just has that fear in their mind. So
sure.
It's not that big of a deal.
If you run the meeting and then somebody's got something to complain about, it's always you then.
Well, it has to be on the agenda.
Yeah.
No complaints unless it's on the agenda.
There you go. There you go. Well, I'm hoping that nobody is showing up at the library today.
Did I contacted the caterer? Did somebody else contact her too?
I don't know. I don't know that, I assume that was Caleb's job.
Well,
I didn't.
Chuck mentioned it. He thought it was the treasurer's responsibility, and I didn't know. So
yeah,
I just went ahead and did it anyway. I hope she got the message. I just left a voicemail.
Yeah.
But I sure would have hated if she showed up with a whole bunch of food and nobody was there.
Right. Right.
Gary, I mean, did the library announce that they were closed to meetings or something, and what happened? I don't,
Apparently, Caleb found out, so apparently they must have called Caleb and said that the meetings are allowed, but they wouldn't have any food. Couldn't have any
Okay.
food.
all right.
So as I understand it, that's what Caleb had found out, and then he decided to after a bunch of emails that went around that he would do this.
All right.
You know, I got to thinking it might be nice to try to find someplace else. But then the problem is, what do we do with all the stuff we got down there in that room?
Yeah, we've got a small locker that was donated for us, but I don't know how much more we could fit in there. The other thing that I know Lafayette, what they're doing is I think it's the VFW that they're having their meetings at, and the VFW has let them use the space for free, and they're just cooking meals there. The women's auxiliary or whatever is cooking the meals and everything, and they pay for the meals on a daily basis when they show up.
So they're not meeting at they're not meeting at MCL anymore?
No, that's closed. That place is gone
Oh,
completely.
really?
Yeah,
And tore it down.
Didn't know
yeah, that was my understanding. They tore it down.
The other place I thought of, but there again, we got the storage issue, is the Tannenbaum Center.
Yeah,
They've got a nice little kitchen back there,
right.
but I don't know if I don't know if they rent that out or.
Yeah,
I don't
they
know.
do. I know that they do. I don't know what she charges to rent that out, but they do rent it out on a regular basis.
You'd have to go in and set up tables every week and that sort of thing. I don't think they leave that set up all the time.
Well,
least
that's probably right.
At least in the times I've been in there.
So
We'll discuss all of this amongst the four of us, and then when everybody else joins later on,
Yeah.
we'll repeat all the same thing.
It'll all be decided.
well, that's what, they wanted to have this, and so I said, well, I'll set it up because I've got the account. So that's why we're here.
The only
The
thing that,
email didn't have a time. in it.
yeah,
It said
exactly. I was just going to
there
say
may
that.
be people joining around noon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't a time. I
was
just
it?
kind of checked in to see if anybody was on yet.
Who was our scheduled speaker?
We were gonna have the
Oh, the top 15 or no, key lead.
no, yeah,
Key
the key leader kids, but I got a hold of them and or I sent them all an email. Only got one response from anybody, so she was going to get on here anyhow, and then she said no, our teachers won't let her at this point. So Karen's on now, and Caleb came on, and then he's off again. Hello, Karen. We can't see you, Karen.
We can't hear you.
Now we can see you.
There she is. You're
We
still
can't
muted.
hear you though.
We can't hear you.
She's trying. Are you getting the same message that says the host won't let you unmute? No?
I'll let anybody unmute. They just gotta get on here. She says she's unmuted. But we
You're
can't.
bad. You're bad at this, Karen.
Is your microphone on? Hello, Mr. Caleb.
Hello, folks.
Check your microphone. Is it on? Is it a camera that's separate from your computer? Or are you on an iPad?
Laptop.
We could just play charades.
Yeah,
Be more fun.
laptop with a camera.
Karen, go to the settings page. That's the little geared wheel in the upper right corner. And then you should get an option for audio. Click on audio and see what microphone is selected.
Or maybe at your bottom left where it says, where the little microphone is there. Do you see that? Yeah, okay. Click on the caret next to it, the thing that points up. Click on that, and then where it says test speaker and microphone, hit that. We still can't hear you.
Why don't you try going off and coming back on?
You should
Bye.
break your laptop and bring a new one and
Yeah.
then do it. There you go.
Bye.
Pay your electrical bill.
Hello, Mr. Michael. How are you?
Oh, well, I'm stuck at home on oxygen and a walker, pretty weak
Okay.
from AFib.
Yeah.
So they don't know if I'm strong enough to go through the AFib operation for ablation or not. So
Okay.
just kind of waiting on prednisone for my lung congestion.
Mhm.
And that causes side effects.
Oh,
So it's before it's always cleared up my lungs, but this time too many side effects, high blood sugar, low
Yeah.
blood pressure, low oxygen. So I'm stuck at home.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you in the flesh. We got your letter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Glad to see everybody face to face and talk to outside people again.
yeah.
All right.
I missed the
Look,
meal.
it looks like one of the side effects, it's added a fan to your head.
Yeah, I have my wife turn off that top light there. Something's radiating from me.
That
Looks
looks
the
like a
Santa-
crown.
like the
Yeah, it's
Santa-
kind of like a halo.
Yeah.
Karen must have got lost now. She didn't get back on yet.
Where's the rocking chair?
Probably made her mad.
Yep. It ruined her day.
Yeah.
She texted me and said her Zoom is currently updating.
Oh,
Yeah, this is kind of like stepping into the Wayback Machine. We haven't done this for quite a while.
Yep.
Hello, Sherman. Hello, Bevan.
Better chair.
Hi, Terry.
Hello.
Belated happy
Hi,
birthday.
Terry.
Well, thank you. I'm feeling my age today, I'll tell you.
Caleb, did you look across the street, see if anybody's over there at the library?
I mean, it's open, but I bet you nobody's eating.
Right.
Was that the limiting factor? They just said that you can't have food, or did they
Yeah.
close the meeting rooms too?
Didn't close the meeting rooms. They just said they were going to stop serving food. So we pretty much just said, okay, well, let's put it off for at least a week or two and then go from there. My guess is they will take forever to allow food again because they did everybody was allowing food and they were the last ones to do it when we came back. So we'll see what it turns into. And then it was kind of funny that Chuck's email where he said that the Masonic board wasn't super thrilled with how much money our collection plate got.
Yeah.
So if we were to go back there, we probably should actually pay as opposed to take the collection plate and get $36 when they normally get $400. So,
Yeah.
Whoa.
but it's also tough in there because it's not loud enough. I mean, it's just hard for people to hear. So,
Right.
Yeah, if that's going to be a viable meeting place, they really need to have a PA system available for everybody who's going to be there.
Yep. And I think some folks probably bring their own PA systems there, but unless it's going to be or don't meet there. Don't meet right next to the kitchen. I mean, you could always put it in one of the other rooms or something. They're a little bit smaller, but I don't know.
Hi, Karen, can we hear you now? No?
She's been having fun, Dave.
Are your kids home from school? Maybe they could help you out.
Grandkids.
Yeah, you got to get some first grader to help you out with your
Yeah, that's
tech
what we
stuff.
do. Yeah.
Do you have, Karen, on that bottom left thing where the microphone is there a red line through it? No, okay. So hit that caret up again. And at the top of that, it should say select a microphone. Do you have multiple microphones? Just the one. It says same as system. You have two. Hit the other one and then try that. Still can't hear you.
Is your volume turned down or your keyboard muted?
Good thing we can read lips. Yeah.
Sounds like 3 words.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, let me get my whiteboard out.
Get your Karl Rove whiteboard out.
Okay, here comes Kyle.
Can you hear us, David?
Yeah. Can you
Oh,
hear
okay.
me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Dave.
You can't, Karen, you can't hear anybody, or you can? You can. Good. Yeah, you can make a lot of jokes about just sitting there and be silent. You know, the only woman well, my wife's on here, but she's not on the computer. Ouch.
You better take a giant step backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa.
Hello, Kyle. We can't see you. We can't hear you.
Now we can hear you.
Oh, now we can hear something.
It must be the Amazon guy delivering something.
Yeah.
I think that's Karen's dog. We
Oh,
can hear
yeah.
you.
Oh, we can hear the dog, but we can't hear her.
I was gonna say that's a good prank. Just sit there.
So instead of
Yeah.
a seeing eye dog, it's a hearing dog,
That's
There you
right.
go.
talking dog.
Boy, we're gonna get more attendance here than we get at our regular meetings.
Hey, Caleb.
Yeah.
Did you talk with Millers?
Jim was calling him. Yeah.
Okay, I contacted him too, but I never heard anything back.
Okay. And he sent me their contact. That way I've got it in case we need it again. So, yep.
Hi, Chuck. We can probably hear you, but we can't see you.
You can't see me. Well,
No.
what? Well, I could see me.
Ah,
I had my picture up on the screen. Let me see what I can do here. Okay, well, it says share is disabled. Okay,
you're not trying to share. You're just trying to,
Yeah,
Where-
join in video.
where it says the video thing in the lower left.
okay. Now I don't see a video thing in the lower,
Okay,
lower left. Yeah, okay, start video. Okay.
there we go.
Hmm.
Well, we still don't see you.
Oh, yes.
Either that or you kind of look like a snowman.
Yeah.
Oh. Huh?
Is that your dog, Karen?
No,
Hmm.
that was mine.
Oh, that's Jerry's dog.
Didn't, it was a
The
mess.
neighbor's got his outside, and so mine's going out to protect his territory.
Now we see Chuck.
Okay.
Well, we sort of see Chuck.
Now he
Yeah.
looks like, now he looks like Kilroy.
Yeah.
Well-
he's back.
Hi, Chuck.
Hello.
Can't see me either.
Oh, well, you'll get around to the picture eventually.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, I see me.
We see you now too.
Okay.
Now it's Bud. It's Bud's turn to turn on his microphone and turn on his video.
We're going to have a training session, I think.
Again, how to do all this.
Seems like we did that about 2 years ago, too.
Yeah, yeah. We tried to.
Every week was a training session.
That's right.
There, does that work?
We can hear you.
We see your name now.
No, we hear Bud. We don't. Oh, now we may see him.
There he is.
He's
Yeah,
talking
but
good.
I was trying to watch Price is Right. And so,
Oh, okay.
There's Bud.
hi, everybody.
Hello,
Hello.
Kyle. What'd you bring us?
Coffee,
Oh, okay.
both caffeine and a way to keep warm.
Good. Oh, now wait a minute. I got Karen joining us again. Are
She's
you
trying to join us on her iPhone.
Ah,
Mm.
says she's connecting to audio.
Here comes the feedback.
It shouldn't feed back if she doesn't have any audio going on her
Yeah.
laptop.
No, but it can still hear us.
Can you
Karen,
guys hear me?
yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Oh,
Here.
well.
Ah, son of a gun, it worked.
Now we can't see you.
Oh, dear.
There you go.
There she is.
Just don't share that video on Facebook. No one needs to see my picture like this.
Who's on the iPad? It just
Uh,
joined.
Me, but I don't remember how to get my
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's Dennis.
Well, ask Karen. She's an expert.
Oh, yeah, I'm a real
There we
expert.
go.
There we go. All right.
My kids are going to be so embarrassed. That HHSB laptop, tell you
Yeah.
what.
Well, we'll show it. We'll show it all on the internet, and then tell your kids that they can share it to everybody.
No.
Okay, Caleb. I think we got 12 people on here.
Okay, well, we could get started. We do we want to do the whole thing? Do the everything? I don't think our prayer person is here. That was Stu. I know he wasn't going to be able to join into the Zoom. Or if we just want to start talking about what our next steps need to be.
We're all gonna PayPal in Happy Bucks.
We can. If anybody wants to PayPal in Happy Bucks, or I don't have very many announcements. We've got the Gary, you sent out the email for the two things, the nourished bits, right?
Packing backpack.
We're packing backpacks on the 24th.
Okay.
We
Monday.
made people today, but then they canceled it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next week we'll try to have another after hours meeting on Thursday at Franklin Mount 5:30. Kyle, have you had a chance to talk with Jim yet? Did we end up getting that brew going?
Brew's actually already going.
Okay.
from what I gathered when I was texting him, but this was around Christmas, New Year's time.
Okay.
So really you and I can iron out the specifics with that, and it's really pretty flexible as far as when he transfers it and kegs it and all that good stuff.
Okay. The figure we'd like to set up some kind of a tap party, but of course you don't want to do that while this is all going on. So hopefully we can do a takeover tap party or something.
Yeah,
if numbers drop, but
When are we
yeah,
gonna be?
I should see him on Monday night, so I can try to get more specifics.
okay. Say what, Gary?
I was just wondering, I was asking Kyle when we're gonna be able to drink.
I would expect within the next couple of weeks, depending on how quickly his brew is going. I mean, that one a porter shouldn't take that long, I wouldn't think. So, if anything, yeah, we have a growler party.
Yeah. There's Carol.
Well, I've got the kegerator I can bring.
Hey, there you go.
Hello. Didn't know if I could get on here
Hi,
or
Karen.
not.
No,
We hear you. We don't,
That
we
was
don't
easy,
see you. All we
Caleb.
see is your picture.
I know. Well,
we see your name.
you see me now? Let me see.
No, we just see your name.
What do I need to hit to do that?
Well, ask Karen. She's got it all figured out.
That's Karen.
I don't know,
Start
just-
video. I know everything about technology. Start video.
Down at the bottom, there should be a start video or something. Or...
Nope, all there's are 3 pictures of Gary, one of Gary, Donna, Jerry.
Okay.
At the top right, do you see a thing that says view?
No, it says mute, start video.
Okay, the start video.
Start
hit
video.
that. There you go. See?
Very
Gotcha.
good. Takes a village.
That's right. Okay, Caleb, back to you.
All righty. So yeah, so those we got a couple things coming with that. That'll be good. Still trying to figure out a date. Hopefully we'll figure it out next week to get with the junior leaders, trying to get their fundraiser done. So we'll see where that comes. Probably mid-March, so it might be a alongside Pancake Day type of thing. Sponsorship letters are getting put together. Those should be out here within the next 2 weeks for Pancake Week. So hopefully we can get those and then start really hitting that. If anybody wants to join the committee, then you certainly can. It's pretty much just me and Jake. So
When is Pancake Week?
be March 28th through the 2nd. That Monday through Saturday. So it'll be spring break week. So not a lot of folks have to do a whole lot other than we need more sponsorships. And I mean, signage and that kind of stuff is pretty much already done, other than getting an updated date made, an updated sign for the date made. And then just trying to acquire more sponsors. So we'll keep going from there. Karen, did you end up getting any of the supplies, or we still have to get some of those?
I still need to get them.
Okay. So we're probably going to finish up in the next 2 weeks on our supply drive money. And then we'll look at doing that again in the summer, but I think that worked out pretty well. So
Yeah, I think so too.
What about the Dairy Queen? I'm
Yeah.
sure with this weather, everybody wants Dairy Queen.
I'm sure they do. I have a hard time catching the manager that you have to get in contact with. So I'll make a note to call her as soon as this call's over with. Maybe she'll be there I always hate calling like during the lunch rush or during the dinner rush.
Right.
And then it's either I've forgotten or she's already left for the day.
Okay.
So I'll just make a note on my attendance sheet to call her.
okay. I think that's the majority of it. I did have a question to see what most of you thought. There was, I don't know if it was an appeal or there's just an opportunity to help out relocation of some of the Afghan refugees that they're doing as the international club. If we want to look at doing that or want more information on it, I can get more. I wanted to see what the club thought of that. And if that's something people want to look at doing, or if we just want to keep focusing on in town.
I think it'd be great if we get some in our town, because they could help with all the employment stuff. Everybody needs people. We could help with that too.
There's an organization here in town that's formed that's helping a Afghan family that's going to settle in the Indianapolis area. I know they mentioned it at church last Sunday, and I don't know if they're trying to settle people into, you know, instead of just having one here in Indy or one here in Crawfordsville and one in, you know, maybe Lebanon, and they're trying to get them in a area where they're kind of together into a larger metropolitan area where they have, well, kind of like our history. You know, we've always had the history of immigrants where you have a section in a city that's Italian or Chinese or Greek or whatever. They kind of, I don't know if they're trying to do that or not. I don't really know that much about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I would say get some details and you know, maybe talk about it next week. We know a little bit more about what International's trying to do and you know what the cost might be to the club.
Okay. I
You
will
need
add
to
that
talk
one.
to John Van Ice. I would suggest you talk to John Van Ice, the minister at Presbyterian Church. He's very heavily involved in that and can bring you right up to date on what they're looking for and how they're looking for it and what they're doing. But he would be the guy that could answer about all your questions about the refugees.
Sounds like a program to me.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Right. Another thing, Caleb, you know, is the kids committee at Riley is heavily involved with a thing called the bicycle program, the adaptive bike program. And I got a contact, actually it's one of our members through Kids Count, that is potentially looking at a young person who may need a bike, an adaptive bike. And it's something that we may be able to support. I've got the names of the companies that do it. And once you know, we get some ideas of what exactly is needed for this bike, we could go to the company and say, hey, this is what we need. You know, what would it run us? And then we'd try to raise the money for it. Sally Mullen has been very involved in the adaptive bike program throughout the state. And I don't know if we've ever done one here, but I know they've done some downstate and they've had some like in Valparaiso. So I think it's a good program. The young person that has been talked about at Kids Count has spina bifida and could really use something like that.
Okay. That sounds good. Do you think Sally will have more information, or should we just go ahead and see what are the next steps on that then?
Well, at this point, I've talked to the lady at Kids Count. She's a therapist there, and she's going to talk to the parents to see if we were able to do this, would they be interested? If so, then we would then have to find out exactly what this child would need on an adaptive bike, and then go to these outfitters that do it. There's two that work with Kiwanis in the state to do it. So we go to them and say, okay, what's it going to cost us to get a bike like this for this child and go from there.
Okay.
And it's going to be a process because my understanding, one of the companies, they're at least 6 to 8 months behind right now in trying to get a bike or trying to get bikes. So it's something that, you know, we can work on and then raise money for and you know, buy this bike for this young man.
Okay. Well, something to keep going then. That'd be good.
Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah. So let us know with the permission part. When the parents say yes, and we'll include that in the next board meeting too. Talk about that. Okay. I don't think I've got really any other things. Anybody want to do happy bucks? Anybody want to send Jim some extra money with your dues?
It's all for Riley this this quarter, so we're in on it, and I think happy bucks. We are happy. At least if we can't meet in person, we're meeting this way. So at least we're meeting. So we'll throw in some for Riley.
Caleb, you mentioned dues. If we're not spending money on meals, what are we going to do? Just carry that forward to whenever we do resume in-person meetings and then credit that, or
I think that's
a donation? What do you want to do?
I think that's the plan, is to do a credit forward. We just need to make sure we're keeping track of how many meals we end up missing with this thing. And then if, you know, we decide we all want to just, let's go and get together somewhere, then, you know, it'll probably end up being a pay as you go. I don't know if anybody has any contacts at the Legion or anything. I know there's a couple clubs that need the Legion or the VFW. Does anybody know about that?
I can talk to the American Legion. You know, had some good contact with the lady there when we got that donation, so I can talk to them if it's something that they would be interested in.
Okay. Well, I guess let's finish Happy Bucks and let's go right into that. Talk about next meetings and things like that. So, we had another ultrasound yesterday, and baby was moving well. So I'll throw in some for Riley since it's. I just hope I don't have to go.
Right. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll throw some in too, just because I'm glad that we're able to at least get together this way and not blow it off completely.
I got $1 for the big win Purdue had Monday against Illinois, and hopefully a big win against IU tonight.
Good. Chuck, you gonna stand up there, Chuck?
No,
What's that shirt?
Oh, you want to see my shirt? Yeah. Yeah, we can't win them all.
Yeah.
I'm happy last night Wabash slaughtered DePaul.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was really not as close as the final score. They put a bunch of second and third stringers in at the end. And I think they only scored maybe 3 or 4 points in the last 4 minutes, but the final was like 96-70. It was a blowout in the second.
And Jack got 2,000 points, or you hit the 2,000 point mark.
Nice. Okay. Well, all right. Well, so about Legion VFW. So even if if we can meet, do people want to go back in person, or do we want to hold off for a little bit until numbers drop? What do you all think?
I would say at least, well, of course, the end of the month is next month, but I'd say for the next week or two, I think I'd be in favor of doing it this way and just kind of monitoring what happens with the county numbers. If they move in the right direction for us, then, you know, consider getting back face to face. Like you, I don't think the library I think they're going to be a long time before they're going to permit catering back in there. So it might be that we have to go to a pay-as-you-go place.
What's with Ivy Tech next week? Is that still on?
Well, the last I talked to her, yes. But you know, if we're gonna say we're not gonna meet in person, I can let her know and we'll cancel that. Someone will have to talk to Miller's about you know, holding off on anything until we decide we're getting back together, wherever it be.
Yep. Okay. Well, I would say at least
I'm responsible for the February 3rd speaker, and I think they would almost rather do Zoom if possible for February 3rd.
That's good.
Yeah, I think for the Ivy Tech thing next week, just advise Kristen that, you know, we're going to postpone it and schedule it again. I'd still like to do it, but just reschedule it at a later time.
Right.
Makes sense.
I agree.
Getting ready to head to Florida for 6 weeks, and I'd be happy to do it on Zoom myself. If you just remember to send the link every week.
Yep.
And a time. Yeah.
At least you're still in the Eastern time zone. Okay. Well, I would agree with that. I think that works out pretty well for everybody. Let's go ahead and keep doing some Zoom for a little while, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, just keep watching the numbers. We don't really need to set a number to wait for or anything. We'll just see what it comes to, and then continue to get the speakers here if we can. Otherwise, you know, I guess just have social hour, but it'd probably be better if the speakers can continue as they are. That would be good.
So will you touch base with the library every, you know, couple of weeks just to kind of get a current update?
Yep, I will. Jim and I did sign for a credit card. So everybody, we're going to have a club credit card now. The board decided that, finalized it last time. So that way, if you end up needing to go buy things for the club, just hit up Jim. He'll give you the card or the number, and then we'll go from there. So that'll be something hopefully that can help out the treasurer position. So, yeah, that's at least a little update for making things easier, moving us forward a little bit. Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion about that card?
Yep.
Fish has a card, but it's not a credit card, it's a debit card. Put a limit on what they can spend. That's what, well, in fact, we have 2 debit cards, one for the food and one for the club itself. That's my suggestion.
Okay. Karen, can we add a debit card to the checking?
Yeah.
Okay. You might just look at that too.
Kyle mentioned Happy Bucks via PayPal. Did the board set up a PayPal account? Is that active?
I don't know if we actually have one because we couldn't do it because the only way you can set up a PayPal account is you have to have a phone number and an email that is not attached already to PayPal. So unless somebody out there is willing to do that does not have PayPal, there's not much we can do, even as a company. And well, put it this way, because of the phone number, that was the main issue. We were able to use the email Crawfordsville Kiwanis at Yahoo, but the phone number, if it's attached to any other one, it won't let you do it. It'll try to set you back to your own personal one.
I'm not talking about a PayPal. I'm talking about a debit card.
Right.
No,
right.
I understand. It's a separate subject, Bob. But what about Venmo or Zelle?
They're the same thing. Yep. And that was something too. on the application, it asked for obviously, some sort of a contact phone number as a business phone number. We don't have a business phone number. I'm not going to say we should ever get one, but if it got to the point we really wanted to have PayPal, we might have to have prepaid phone number or something like that we pay every, put minutes on or something like that. I don't know. That might be something to think about. Maybe the president just keeps it on him, or secretary or treasurer or something like that. So,
A burner phone.
yeah, burner phone, right?
I'm married to a cop. I could be caught with one of those.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has a few just lying around at the station.
Yeah.
He may.
Just grab a couple for us.
Who knows what we'll find in there.
Yeah, but if you grab one of those ones that were previously used, you may get some calls for other things.
Yeah, if it's in a bag that says evidence, just leave it alone.
Yeah. I think for next week, we all need to get a hold of somebody, and one of the other members or a couple of the other members, and say, hey, we're doing this back on Zoom, and come on and join us. So if we can get a hold of them in person and come on and join us, I think it would help.
Well, that's all I had for the program.
We could do a group song.
No, we can't.
Yeah, you could. It ends up sounding like a really bad round.
Yeah. We'll mute everybody but Andy.
There you go. Andy, you just do a performance for us.
No, that's fine. I guess I could tell a few jokes, but
Hey, who are those painting or those drawings behind you, Andy?
my sister-in-law did those.
Are those your kids, or who
Yeah,
is
it's
that?
our two daughters on the outside, and then our son's in the middle.
Nice.
Yeah, she's really good.
Those are good. Man.
They look a lot like our kids. I mean, they're pretty good likeness.
Yeah. That's fun.
Kyle
We have
would like
several.
to do that. Kyle would
have
like to do that, but he's got too many kids.
We have several of her paintings around the house.
Yep.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah. Nice to have the hand drawn.
She can draw horses that look like they're going to walk right off the page.
There you go.
And she can't understand why nobody else can do that. I'm always embarrassed when I have to draw a picture.
Yeah, that's not me. Jerry, did you see the black holes birthing some stars?
No, it's been so cloudy, and the nights it wasn't cloudy, it was really cold, so I haven't had the telescope out or anything.
Yeah. Is winter usually when you have it out?
Now, that was the nice part about living in Arizona, is that even in winter, in the evenings, it's 40 or 50 degrees, and it's not really a pain to take it out. But when it's 15 or 20, and you got to bundle up really, and you got to let it acclimate to the temperature and everything, or the images are all distorted. It's just not, it's more effort than it's really worth, particularly given the fact that, it's cloudy about 6 nights out of 7. So anyway. It was clear last night, though. That's why I got so cold this morning.
Hi, Larry. We solved all the problems of the world already.
Have you? Well, good. I'll cut out then.
No, you're the problem now.
So we're the problem. Okay.
And the problem is we can't see you. We just see your name.
Oh, I know. It's been a while. Let me see if I can figure this out.
Ask Karen.
Larry hits start video.
that all?
Mhm.
That's it.
Oh, there you go.
Hey.
We're gonna have to have a new, we're gonna have to have a new chairman of IT, and we'll make it Karen.
Yes.
Yeah,
There you go.
I can report Meals on Wheels was a success today.
good.
Was today your day?
Yep.
Okay. The last time we did it, not for Kiwanis, but for our church, we only had 6 people.
I had more than that. I had a couple of new ones. That's why it probably took me a little longer. One lady called on me because I wasn't there before 11:30.
Oh, my goodness.
He was hungry.
I think she was. Yeah. She apologized.
Did
So-
you get Meals on Wheels demerits then, or how does that work?
Excuse me?
Do you get demerits for that, or?
I don't know. That's a black mark, isn't it? If I get a call in.
Yeah.
Did you make?
Larry, how was Beverly McCollum? Do you remember her? She's over there on East
Yes.
Union.
She had failed since I'd seen her last. I thought she
Yeah.
was, usually she wasn't out of character for her to invite me in, but this time she was bent over and hardly getting around, but she had a good sense of humor. She
Ended up in the hospital, Garrett. They came and got her last night.
Oh, did they? Because
Yes.
when we were
Thanks
there
to somebody
Tuesday,
from Meals on Wheels, she didn't come to the door, is what I understand. She lives just like a couple houses down from me.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know
does
that.
she?
And
But,
yeah,
they put her
and
back.
anyway, her daughter came, and the ambulance came, and they kept her in the hospital, but she's having some mental challenges also. So
Well,
I'm not sure what's going to happen to her.
Well, I can report that she came to the door this morning and they said
This morning?
she said they told me at the hospital that they scratched her name off and then the doctor released her and she was back on the list today. So she did come to the door today.
I'll be darned. No, I didn't realize she was back out here. Okay.
Yeah, she was
I heard Jack Wyatt's in the hospital too.
Oh, really?
Yes. I talked to Terry Gadd yesterday after the Board of Works meeting. And I guess Jack fell. Well, I had mentioned it at the board meeting, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I got a email from somebody. I
Jim
can't remember.
McCampbell.
Yeah, Jim McCampbell ran into Jack's wife.
Mm.
And he evidently fell and hit his head against the car. And then they took him, he kind of acted kind of disoriented. And so Bev finally took him to the emergency room and they shipped him, tried to put him in the hospital, but they didn't have any room in Lafayette. So they shipped him to St. Vincent. And I think he's still at St. Vincent. And he had some blood pooling in his head and they were going to do some surgery, but I don't think they ended up doing surgery. And he's going to have to go to a rehab facility to kind of relearn some things. It's what Terry told me yesterday.
Oh.
Because she and Terry and Jack used to do Meals on Wheels together. And I called Terry earlier because I wanted to remind her of Meals on Wheels. And because I'd heard about Jack and she didn't know anything about Jack. And so she contacted Bev and that's how she found out. And she just told me yesterday that he's at St. Vincent and then he'll be going to rehab somewhere. And she didn't say where.
Well, that happened to a good friend of mine that he slipped on the ice and fell and hit his head. And he's my age and he had to go to rehab like that. And he had to learn how to walk again. And even his speech was affected, but he's in good shape right now. But
Jerry, isn't that what happened to your dad too?
That's almost exactly what happened to my dad. He fell, hit his head on the car. They thought he'd had a stroke. that was never determined one way or the other, but unfortunately, his outcome was not as positive as what Larry just described, and it started the long glide slope toward the end.
Yeah, it was, they were worried he wouldn't be able to come back from that, but the only thing now is his memory's affected a little bit, and he has I guess you would say, a lapse between what he says and what he wants to say. So he has to stop and think before he says it now, but pretty much he's old self as far as I remember him.
Dave, we don't know anything about sliding on the ice, do we?
Everybody should get nano spikes to put on your shoes when it's icy out. You can get them at REI, and I highly recommend them.
Just stay in if you can.
Well, that's even better.
Order them from Amazon, they'll ship them right to your front door. You know.
Yeah, I saw that. They were on Amazon.
So they just fit on your shoes, they're elastic?
Yeah, they're rubber and they're not very big. You can walk on dry surfaces without any trouble. And they provide a little bit of grip. Wish I'd had them before.
I have a set of those. They've never been out of the box. My sister is just convinced that I'm really old now. So she insisted I buy a pair, and I did. And they've never been out of the box yet.
Okay. Well,
I've only got 10 feet of sidewalk, so that's about the only thing that would help.
Well, you're supposed to walk like a penguin when you're out on the ice.
right.
Yeah.
That means you slide on your stomach?
What was that?
Does that mean you slide on your stomach when you walk like a penguin?
Are you guys familiar with Gary Larson?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've joined on Facebook. I signed up for this Gary Larson group. So
I'm in
they
there.
have Gary Larson cartoons all the time. And
Oh,
they
yeah.
are so funny. And one of them they had just this week was a penguin that had slipped on a banana peel.
And
You had to kind of look at it a little bit to catch it.
I like the ones. I like the ones with when he puts his cows in revenge on the farmers.
That's right.
I've got 4 of them on the wall behind me, including the punk accountants.
The what?
Punk accountants.
The punk accountant.
They've all got pencils in their ears.
Oh. My favorite one is I had it on hanging in my office for years in the barbershop too. Was a picture of a bloated rhino out in the desert, and all these buzzards are coming in to eat this bloated rhino. And this one buzzard says to the other one, says, "You know, Frank," I'll paraphrase a little bit. I can't remember exactly, but it says, "You know, Frank," he says, "here we are sitting on a bloated rhino in the middle of the desert in the heat of the day. All of our friends are coming in. It just doesn't get any better than this."
There you go.
You know, it's just a matter of life.
There it is, right there.
Perspective, isn't it?
Good one, John.
I hear about that falling. Now you know why I use a cane.
Do you have a hurricane?
I have 4 canes. I have a hurricane. I have fallen. I fell one night this week. I don't know how to tell you this, but I barely wake up and go to the restroom in the middle of the night.
Really?
Turning lights on. So I went in there and I dropped my drawers and went down. And ended up sitting right on the seat. I thought I killed myself,
He was sitting on.
but everything came out and I went back to bed.
That's a little more information than we need to know.
TMI.
Well,
Yeah, I
I
always-
got anything else, Caleb?
I'm good. Say, if anybody wants to keep on, you can. I don't have much else to add, I don't think. So
Did we solve anything? Wait,
I think so.
okay.
We're
So
gonna
what time's the IU Purdue game?
It's
7 o'clock.
Well, boy, I missed the one when they played Illinois. I didn't know it was going to be at noon. I saw they were going to play, and I figured, well, they'll play at 7. And next thing I knew, the game was over.
Yeah, I missed that one too.
Is it
I
on
tried-
Big Ten or ESPN or Fox or what?
Fox One, Fox Sports.
So I
Okay.
tried to watch the rerun, but figuring it was Purdue, I was afraid if I watched the rerun, they were going to lose it, so I quit watching it.
Not quite the same to watch a rerun.
Well, you know, the way they play sometimes, I was afraid they were going to lose the rerun. So.
Larry, you got on late. So what was decided was that we're going to continue at Zoom at this point until we decide otherwise.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Yep. We're gonna see if we can't maybe meet for some lunches at the the Legion or something like that. If for some reason we do all want to get together and the numbers are coming down, but the library is still not serving food, so we'll see where we end up.
Sounds good. Okay.
Well, all right. Well, I'm gonna get ready for my next meeting, but I guess I'll see everybody next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
See you later, everybody. Have a great
Bye.
day.
You bet. We'll
Talk to
see you.
everybody later.
Bye.
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 Oh, Carolyn.